When most people think of special operations, they think of Navy SEALs, Green Berets, or even the Marshals Raiders. But little do people know that United States law enforcement has a plethora of special operations units that are on par with some soft forces. In fact, where do you think a lot of operators go once they get out of the military? Law enforcement has a wide array of special operations units that are highly trained and specialized to operate both domestically and internationally. With such a large scope to cover, and given that law enforcement is broken down into federal, state, and local police, we're just going to be focusing on the federal special operations units to give you a taste of what types of units are out there. This begs the question, why does the federal government have so many tactical units? What's the point? To answer those questions, we're going to be covering 7 units that we believe will showcase not only their unique purpose in federal law enforcement, but bring you into the bigger picture as to why so many exist. The 7 units we will be highlighting are the FBI HRT, Marshals SOG, DEA SRT, BORTAC, Secret Service CAT, DSS MSD, and BOP SORT. This is Federal Law Enforcement Special Operations. Let's kick it off with FBI HRT. Hostage situations are high-stress, high-stakes, intense missions that can go wrong in a moment's notice. With thousands of hostage-taking incidents occurring every year in the United States, there is a strong need for highly capable law enforcement units to get the job done. Out of these hostage rescue units, the FBI Hostage Rescue Team is often considered the best of the best. Want to know what else is considered the best of the best? Raid Shadow Legends, today's sponsor. Raid is a turn-based RPG available on mobile and PC. With over 1 million active daily users, 600 plus champions, epic boss battles, thousands of clans to join, and an intense PvP arena, there's no shortage of fun to be had. And did we mention it's free? Honestly, we could go on and on. With its amazing graphics and loads of content to choose from, Raid offers all of its players an intense and enjoyable gaming experience. Just take a look at all of the champions they have, such as the legendary Orcs. While Orcs might get a bad rap in fantasy, in Raid, they're not all bad. Just take a look at them yourself. They have some pretty cool designs to them, influenced by their tribe and personality. Our personal favorites are Grohak the Bloodied and King Garok. See how awesome they look? You can bet they wouldn't need a hostage rescue team, but those are just our picks. You'll be able to pick one that works best for you. With that said, there couldn't be a better time to join Raid. It's easy to get started, and if you scan the QR code in the video, or click the link in the description, it'll be even easier. New players who use our code within the next 30 days get bonuses worth $30, all for free. We're talking the Epic Champion Vergus, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard. So you can start your journey and summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. Good luck on your journey. Now back to Federal Law Enforcement Special Operations. They are trained to be able to operate in and respond to the most high-risk environments and conditions imaginable. But hostage rescue isn't the only thing HRT specializes in. Since its inception, it has been deployed to over 850 incidents, which involve missions ranging from terrorism, violent crimes, and foreign counterintelligence. It has the ability to deploy anywhere within the United States in just 4 hours. But don't think their influence stops inside the country. They've been involved in overseas deployments and have been known to embed in the US military special operations units. And with the FBI's 56 SWAT teams and 14 enhanced SWAT teams, the HRT gets the most advanced equipment out of the bunch. But don't think it ends with the equipment. They're also the tip of the spear when it comes to its operators. They're trained in the full spectrum of combat, such as jumping, diving, breaching, BBSS, you name it. HRT's motto, Servare Vitas, which translates as to save lives, represents one of their most important roles. With FBI HRT covered, let's move on to the Marshals SOG. Just robbed the bank and trying to make a dash to Mexico to avoid arrest? If the US Marshals Special Operations Group is after you, you can run, but you'll get caught tired. There's nowhere to hide with the Marshals SOG. Out of all the US federal tactical units out there, the Marshals SOG is the first of its kind. They are a versatile force that is capable of executing a wide range of law enforcement missions in any environment both within and outside the United States. They are one of the first ones called when there's a high-profile criminal on the loose. Dealing with high-threat arrests and search warrants is the Marshals' bread and butter, and SOG is tasked out to catch the most dangerous of the dangerous. They often deal with the Marshals Service Top 15 Most Wanted, which if you go take a look at who's on that list, it's a good thing that these guys are the ones after them. But there's more to SOG than hunting for fugitives. They have their hand in judicial security, witness security, national emergencies, and whatever the Attorney General tasks them out to do. Each member is thoroughly trained in every facet you can think of when it comes to this line of work. They're trained in helicopter insertions, rappelling, use of diversionary distraction devices, close quarters combat, tactical field training, tactical movement, and receive extensive weapons and firearms proficiency training. With the US Marshals SOG out of the way, let's move on to DEA SRT. If you've watched the show Narcos, you should be familiar with the DEA. What the show doesn't touch on is their special response teams, and there's a reason for that. First up, they didn't exist at the time, and even if they did, the DEA's SRT's missions are kept under wraps, and not much is known about what they do. Founded in 2016, stemming from the DEA's FAST teams, DEA SRT performs high-risk operations in support of the DEA's mission to enforce federal controlled substances laws and regulations. DEA SRT's main mission is serving high-risk search and arrest warrants related to drug crimes. Drug dealers can be armed and dangerous, and the DEA needs a team of highly trained personnel who can take care of any situation that gets sticky. Each major DEA domestic office maintains an SRT, which means that they are scattered throughout the country and can be mobilized and deployed to respond to incidents in a short amount of time. Dealing with high-risk search and arrest warrants isn't all that they do, though. They also conduct vehicle assaults, air assault and infiltration, specialized surveillance, custody of high-profile individuals, dignitary and witness protection, tactical surveillance and interdiction, advanced breaching, tactical training to other police units, and urban and rural fugitive searches. They continue to participate in missions that most will never hear about. Due to the secrecy of their operations, DEA SRT is likely to continue to operate in the shadows and will make an impact on the war against drugs. With DEA SRT wrapped up, let's move on to BORTAC. Contrary to popular belief, the Border Patrol does more than just patrol the border. Would it surprise you to learn that they have an elite tactical team that has not only operated across the country, but has also played a significant role in international missions as well? That would be BORTAC, which stands for Border Patrol Tactical Unit. BORTAC plays an important part not only in augmenting the capabilities of the DHS regarding terrorist threats and incidents, but all aspects of traditional Border Patrol operations. BORTAC gives the DHS an immediate response capability to emergent and high-risk incidents both nationally and internationally. With units in all of Border Patrol's 13 sectors, both on the northern and southern border, BORTAC can be deployed immediately wherever they are needed. Its main missions include high-risk warrant service, surveillance, and foreign law enforcement capacity building. If you don't know what that means, it's essentially training other law enforcement entities in order to further expand their capabilities. All BORTAC members are experts in small unit tactics, operational planning, advanced weapon skills, defensive tactics, and air mobile operations. Going beyond that, each member has the ability to further develop their skills needed in furtherance of the BORTAC mission, and can receive training in maritime operations, work with military working dogs, become snipers, and much, much more. With BORTAC explained, let's move on to the next federal tactical unit, the Secret Service CAT. Don't get the wrong idea here. The Secret Service does not use CATs to protect the president. CAT stands for Counter Assault Team, which do things a bit differently than the men in black you see standing around the president. Instead of just shielding the president from harm, the counter-assault team goes on the offensive and diverts any potential assailant's attention from the president as the rest of his detail attempts to safely evacuate him. To put it simply, if someone or a group of people happen to target the president and began an assault, the CATs would literally counter-assault them and become the main focus for the assaulters, while the rest of the Secret Service is keeping the president safe and getting him somewhere else. Needless to say, the CAT is equipped with a multitude of weapons and gear to make anyone trying to harm the president instantly regret their decision. But they're not just tasked to protect the president, they are tasked out with various VIPs in the political realm, as well as foreign heads of state. When they're not training or counter-assaulting, they provide support and security to national special security events, such as presidential inaugurations. They also survey each site beforehand to ensure it's good to go before they are visited, and from the information they gather, they determine the manpower, equipment, hospitals, and evacuation routes in case of emergencies. Let's just say there's some pretty good bodyguards. With Secret Service CAT out of the bag, let's move on to the DSS MSD. 24 hours a day, domestically and overseas, when the U.S. Department of State needs help, their mobile security deployments answer the call. The Diplomatic Security Service plays an important role in protecting members of the federal government and dignitaries both domestically and abroad. However, the DSS operates more so on foreign soil than domestically. The contrast gets even bigger when it comes to their mobile security deployments, with only 10% of MSD's missions being conducted in the United States. So what exactly does MSD do? While this is by no means a limitation on what they're capable of, their primary missions are crisis response and evacuation operations, high threat protection, facility security augmentation, and they conduct joint training and deployments with other specialized units. They accomplish these missions through their mobile training teams, security support teams, and tactical support teams. Each plays a vital role in the MSD. The MTTs are the ones training and augmenting other security personnel at embassies, such as the Marine Security Guards. Their SSTs are trained for counterattacks on U.S. embassies or threats against diplomatic personnel, and their numbers have only grown since the Benghazi attacks in 2012. The TSTs are the ones geared up as more of a heavily armed reaction force in support of the protective service details assigned to high-profile VIPs, like the Secretary of State. Needless to say, MSD's missions are extremely and inherently dangerous, meaning that each member is extensively trained to be an effective team member, acquiring skills such as advanced firearms training, dynamic room entry, helicopter operations, high-risk survival training, and defensive tactics. With MSDs covered, let's move on to the next federal tactical unit, BOP SORT. The need for federal special operations units doesn't end once the perpetrator is arrested. Once they're incarcerated, there's a strong need to keep order in the various federal institutions throughout the country. That's where BOP SORT comes in. Formerly known as the Federal Bureau of Prison Special Operations Response Teams, BOP SORT consists of some of the most professional and capable personnel in the world of corrections. Prisons can get rowdy. If a large-scale riot were to occur in one of the federal government's prisons, SORT would be deployed to fix the situation. But they're also called to respond to other day-to-day situations that can arise in a moment's notice, such as assaults on staff or inmates, escapes or attempted escapes, hostage situations, and believe it or not, their influence goes outside of the prison's walls. If needed, they can respond to any terrorist or military strike on the United States. SORT members are typically experienced correctional officers that have years under their belts in that line of work. They're familiar with their facility, they're no strangers to supervising inmates, and they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. However, being a part of SORT is a part-time gig. BOP officers will conduct their normal day-to-day duties, and when needed, they will gear up for SORT. Every SORT member is equipped with a work phone and is on call to respond if necessary. A typical SORT has 15 members. Of these members, they have an emergency medical treatment specialist, a firearms instructor, a rappel master, a security locking systems expert, a blueprint expert, a sniper spotter team, chemical agent specialist, and several firearms and tactical planning procedures experts. All of these work in tandem, supplemented by disturbance control teams and hostage negotiation teams, to respond to high-risk scenarios. As you can see, there's a lot of talent in SORT teams that enable them to be an effective force. And with BOP SORT covered, you just learned about some of the various federal law enforcement special operations units. You may have noticed some overlap between these units in terms of capabilities and missions, but each has a distinct purpose for the departments they serve under. Various law enforcement units work in tandem to enforce the law of the United States, and each federal law enforcement agency has their own nuances and areas of responsibility. So respectively, their special operations units will typically reflect and pursue those specific missions and responsibilities. At the end of the day, each unit brings a unique perspective and talent into the world of federal law enforcement tactical units. There are many more federal tactical units than the ones we covered in this video. We'd encourage you to do your research on them. On top of federal, there are also state and local units too. If you're confused about why there are so many different types of law enforcement, don't worry, we've done a video explaining why. The link to it will be in the description below. Well, that is the down and dirty of federal law enforcement special operations. If you learned something from this video, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. As always, thank you for watching. Do you even want to be here? A big shout out to all of our YouTube members and our patrons over at our Patreon. Thank you all so much for taking the extra step in supporting our channel. It is much appreciated. If you'd like to be featured on a general discharge video, consider joining our membership with the link in the description or the join button to the left of the subscribe button, or go give our Patreon a look and join the team. Here's Nick Nausea.
All your friends are subscribing to General Discharge, and you don't even want to be here.